Hello, everyone. My name is Stanley St. Rose, and today we're going to be talking about The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, written by Washington Irving. Now, before I go into summary and analysis of this work, please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and or comment so that the channel can continue to grow. This work by Washington Irving is quite interesting. It's very interesting. It's something that makes you think. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow is something that it's very iconic in American storytelling, in American folklore, in American movies. There's been several different types of movies, cartoons, ideas, references that reference this literary work by Washington Irving. It's very popular and people always think about it. So Sleepy Hollow is an actual real place. It's a real place, a real location where people actually live in the United States. It's located in New York. It's not in the city. It's like in this corner pocket, hidden away pocket of New York where the people there are kind of like stuck in time. Sleepy Hollow. The reason why it's called Sleepy Hollow is because it's a very dreamy like state. It's a very dreamy like location. People see things, ghosts. They talk about ghosts, witches, or legends of ghosts and witches, and things that go bump in the night. So Sleepy Hollow is definitely there's so many different types of ideas and beliefs about things of the spiritual kind, or things from the invisible world inhabiting in Sleepy Hollow. Within the short story, we're told that you know this German doctor bewitched this location, or this ancient Indian chief had powwows there, and it's haunted, or there's spiritual ties tied to this place. So it's very interesting the way that this story begins. It's very it brings you into this world that's filled with, it's like a medieval vibe of horses and churches and people talking. This story feels very medieval. Castles and horses and duels and strong men, brave men, and things like that. And Sleepy Hollow is like this thing that's kind of like outside of time and exists in its own realm, and nobody truly can fit in. Only the people that have been born there, that were raised there, that has a family tie there, only they understand the way and the function of this ecosystem of people and legends. And the people there, they're not really believing in science or in education or things like that. These people are farmers. They work the land. The school. I mean, they send their kids to school, but it's not really the most valuable thing within this place, within this town. It's like everybody's like in it for themselves. The community is all well knit together. They have parties. They all know each other, and there's a lot of gossip. So this place is so knitted together and so close that there's gossip. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody's well aware of everybody. Everybody knows, who are the bachelors. Everyone knows the bachelors, the single ladies, the single men. Everybody knows who's married, who's not, who has money, who's not. So the gossip is everywhere. The old ladies, the widows, the young women, the old women, the young men, the children, everybody's like involved, and everybody's like keeping tabs on everybody else. So the people are very well connected, and they know everybody in the town. Um, there are some people who are heroes. There are some people who are not heroes. There are some people who are weak. There are some people who are not weak. So we're really, the world building for this short story is quite immense. We're really just thrown into like, this is an established community. There are things that have been happening here for years on end, for centuries even. It starts off by telling us like this place, its history, its function, its reality goes back centuries. So this is not. This is just like there. It's like Sleepy Hollow is this massive thing that's like clothed in mystery, and the veil is like being lifted up or being drawn aside just a little bit for us to see a story that happened there, that occurred there some time ago. So it has that Disney feeling to it, that once upon a time, or that because Disney is very well into witchcraft and magic and things like that, and Sleepy Hollow is also, witchcraft, magic, things that go bump, things that are in invisible world. So it's this short story is very gothic, very chilling. By reading it yourself, you can get goosebumps because it's just so dark and demonic, even. So that's the world we get thrown into. That's the idea that we get, and then we get introduced to a character by the name of Ichabod Crane. Now Ichabod is from Connecticut. Sleepy Hollow is in New York, so neighboring states. Ichabod, I mean, he's just a duck out of water. He comes into Sleepy Hollow. He's out of place. His introduction, when narrators tell you about the person that's coming in, usually you know a lot about the character from the way that the narrator describes the person. I mean, when the narrator describes the person as charming or handsome or good looking, you kind of get a picture of the character. But when the narrator starts off where with like Ichabod, he says Ichabod Crane is, he's lanky, his arms and legs are everywhere, his body is like thrown together, his frame is not impressive, he's like famine. Literally, the narrator describes him as famine, just like coming down. Like, it's not good. The way that Ichabod is described is like this man that has these wild limbs, and it's like he's just a tall and monstrous and jiggly wiggly man that's not impressive, that's not, the ladies are not gonna go fall down head over heels for this guy. He described him throughout the short story as he has a big appetite, he loves to eat, there's a lot of greed in his heart, he wants money, he wants women, or he wants the prettiest woman within Sleepy Hollow. He's a duck out of water. He's out of place. He doesn't look the part. He's not. He's coming into Sleepy Hollow to be a teacher to the boys, but he doesn't seem to be the smartest guy out there. Usually you would want your school teacher to be smart and elegant and charming and well spoken. Ichabod is none of that. He's unaware of his faults. I mean, the thing is, like, in life, it's very charming and very interesting for people to be aware of the things that they're bad at. If you have some type of default, if there's something in your personality, something about your body, about your person, that that is not your strong suit, then you know how to work around it, how to work with it. Because, like, I mean, some people what you're good at and what you're not good at. What your body can do, what your body can't do. In this world, we get judged on everything. We get judged on how we look, we get judged on our size, we get judged on our bodies, our personalities, everything. Even if people don't want to, even people are get offended or anything like that, humans will never stop judging each other based on how they act, how they look, and how they behave. It's just that will never go away. So if you are aware of your strengths and your weaknesses and your appearance and your personality, you can know how to maneuver around people to put your best foot forward in every situation. If you know you can't sing, don't pretend that you can sing. All right, if you know you have a horrible voice and you can't sing, and it's something that everybody hates, don't embarrass yourself, because it's nothing good's gonna come out of that. If you're a bad singer, nobody's gonna be like, well, no, that just, you sound like Mariah Carey, when you sound like, you know a coat hanger scratching against the sidewalk. I mean, that makes no sense, but you get where I'm going with this. um Ichabod's not the best singer. He's not charming. He's not any of these things. But he thinks he can be. He thinks he is. He thinks he can come into this town and be the apple of everybody's eye. And his craft is not well respected. He's a teacher, but he's not really well respected from this community. He's not the best singer. He's not the best looker. He's not the strongest man. He's not the bravest man. He has lots of fears. He's afraid of things that go bump in the night. He's afraid of the invisible world. He even has a book about witchcraft, that he believes in witchcraft. He believes that, there's demons and evil things out there that can, persuade people and possess people to do things. So he's not brave. He's not strong. He's not handsome. He's a school teacher, but he's not the smartest guy around. He's not impressive. Like, the narrator just pretty much tells us that right off the bat. This is not an impressive man. He's like the town gossip. He goes from house to house for food and for gossip, and he goes with like some of the boys in his class. Sometimes he goes home with them because they have pretty sisters, and sometimes he plays with them. Sometimes he helps out. He helps out the local men, the local farmers for food. So everything that he does, it's for his own benefit, so that he can benefit off of it. So this character, we're aware of him. We're introduced to him, but we as the audience, we who are reading the Legend of Sleepy Hollow. He's not the most impressive or guy out there. We're not like saying like this is our guy. Because sometimes when you're watching a movie, when you're reading a book, usually you're like the main character. Usually you like the main character and you're like, oh, that the main character is my guy. The main, female, she's that girl. She's the legend here. She's the star. She's like, legit, like the legit main person, main character. You're like, yeah, that's the person that, morally I stand with this woman or man. Morally, direction, like the way that they're going to, in the direction they're going, I stand with them. I'm with them. I like them. I approve of their choices and I root for them. In this work, you're not really rooting for Ichabod Crane. I mean, some might say, I mean, for me, at some points, I just feel sorry for him. He's just not, he's oblivious to what he is. He's oblivious to his weaknesses and his strengths. And he just comes into Sleepy Hollow, and there's a girl by the name of Katrina. She has a rich father. Her father has good enough money, or they're well off. Her family's well off. Katrina's very beautiful. You can say that she's the most beautiful of women in Sleepy Hollow. She's 18. The narrator describes her as plump, as red, as delightful. I mean, this young girl, she's described as a snack. Like literally, the narrator is using fruits and food to describe how scrumptious she looks. And Ichabod loves to eat, so I mean, not cannibalism here, but I mean, it's kind of like she's described as the prize, that she is the pride of the town. She is the beauty of the town, and Ichabod wants her. And there's other girls in the town that he could probably get easily, and not to be offensive here, not to trample upon any toes, but again, the time period that this was written in, the time period that this writing was written in, young girls at 18, 19 years old, the bachelors were lining up to court them to get married. Before you were 22, you were already, you already had a kid, you were already married off. So this all went by very quickly, very fast. If like by 25 you weren't married, that would be like extreme. Like, I mean, by 25 you're not married as a girl. I mean, still, even still to this day, if we think about 2023 and the current climate that we're in, if you're like reaching 30 and you're not, almost married or about to get married or considering marriage, some people are like, well, what's the matter with you? What's going on? So you can imagine in the time period that this was written in, 17, 18, 19, most girls were probably married or close to getting married, or about to get married. That was the reality of the time period. And so Ichabod Green comes into this town and he goes after the most beautiful girl, a wealthy family, a family that is at the top. And Brom Bones, which is a love interest of Katrina, because Katrina, she loves attention. She loves people watching her. There's a lot of men that want to court her. She loves attention from the men, but Brom Bones, Abraham, that's the guy. He is, Abraham Van Brunt. His nickname is Brom Bones. So Brom Bones, he's the complete opposite of Ichabod Crane. Brom Bones, he's tough, he's well built. Like the narrator describes him as a Herculean man. This is the Hulk Hogan of Sleepy Hollow. He's brolic, he's tough, he's I mean, he's well versed in nature. The town sees him as a hero. He's well respected. He's the best of the best. He's like that young stallion of the town. He's like a walking Superman, and everybody loves him. He looks good. He's arrogant. He's prideful. He's just like that character that just he's the man of the town, and he knows it, and he walks comfortably in that title, and he wants Katrina, and no man, like literally no man in the town will stand up to him, because they know that he's the guy. He gets what he wants. It's Brom Bones and his boys, his gang. And so Ichabod, he's just the fool that comes in here. Although he's supposed to be the teacher, he's the fool that comes in here, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go after Katrina, even though Brom Bones wants her. I'm gonna shoot my shot and try to be with her. And Brom Bones is like, no, like he Brom Bones, when he figures out about this, he messes up the school where Ichabod works. Turn over desks. Kick books. Things like that. Mess up the classroom. He pulls pranks on Ichabod. Turns him into a laughing stock. It's a rivalry now. Ichabod, he's a teacher, so he teaches Katrina, singing and dancing and things like that. So he has a way to come in and see her from time to time, and he's trying to develop a romantic relationship with her. And eventually he declares his love for Katrina, and Katrina loves this attention. The attention from Brown Bones, the attention from Ichabod, and the far away suitors that are kind of scared to get involved with this. Now Ichabod would have been smart to just been like them, but no, he's just this bumbling fool that comes in and he wants the top girl, even though that the top guy is like a roaring lion that's ready to devour him. So he doesn't care. He's gonna try his best to try to get her. There's a party that happens. They invite Ichabod. Pretty much everybody's invited to this party at Katrina's house. Her father throws this party, and this is all going well. And at this party, everybody's talking about the headless horseman. Now, this is one of the legends of Sleepy Hollow. There's lots of things in Sleepy Hollow that go bump in the night. Things about, ghosts, specters, whatever thing you could think about that goes bumps in the night. There's rumors and mysteries and things that people have seen, voices, things that terrify people. They're all talking about these things, but the most popular thing is the legend of the headless horseman that lost his head during the Revolutionary War. It's also the headless horseman, something that goes back in all types of books and mythologies, and a headless horseman on a horse. It's just there's different accounts coming from different places about this headless rider. So Sleepy Hollow, this is very scary. A lot of people are terrified and afraid of this. They have this party. Everybody has fun, dancing, lots of food. Ichabod, he fills his gullet. He loves his food. Again, not a pleasing character. And then afterwards, after people are done talking about the headless horseman, and Ichabod is pretty much afraid and terrified of all the ghosts and goblins and witches and all these things that he's heard of from the guests. He stays very late because he wanted to talk to Katrina about their love, their romance, and pretty much he's rejected. We're not really given specific details of what they talked about. Well, all that we know is Katrina said no. Katrina said, pretty much all hopes were dashed. That's what we're left with. Like, all hopes were dashed. There's no chance of ever Ichabod marrying Katrina. Katrina does not want him. And so, with that horrible news, you know, Ichabod borrowed gunpowder That's the name of a horse that he borrowed to go to this party. He takes this horse. It's kind of a older horse that's past its heyday that he borrowed, and Ichabod's like, all right, I gotta go back home. I'm dejected. I'm rejected, and I have to go back home now, and you know it's very sad. Brom Bones was at the party. All the people are gone. Even Brom Bones, it seems like he's gone or he's gone. Um, that's what's going on, and Ichabod gets his horrible news from Katrina, and Ichabod gets this horrible news from Katrina, and then he leaves for home, to the place that he was staying, and it's late at night. It's late at night. There's nobody on the road. He's all alone. It's scary, and he starts to hear things. Ichabod starts to hear things. Um, it gets tough. Ichabod is afraid. He's passing by landmarks where people are saying there are creepy things, scary things, and Ichabod he doesn't know what to do. He's terrified. He's trying to sing to himself. He's trying to do all these types of things to not be afraid, but he's very, very, very afraid. His horse, is old. He's all alone. He's heartbroken, and basically, he meets the headless horseman. And as you can imagine, he's afraid. He starts to run, or he kicks his horse, whips his horse, pushing gunpowder, um, and yeah, and the horse is just galloping with all the strength that it has. Um, and the headless horseman is in hot pursuit. Ichabod, you could just imagine, he is terrified for his life. He doesn't know what to do. He's, the when he speeds up, the headless horseman speeds up. When he slows down, the horseman slows down. He looks down. He thinks he sees the headless horseman's head in front of him. Um, and it's this massive. It's not a regular sized horse that this headless horseman is on. The way that it's described, it's as if this headless horseman on this horse. It's like this huge thing, like that's towering over him. That's bigger than him. That's menacing. That's not speaking. It's just he's seeing a demon of the night, and yeah, Ichabod Crane on gunpowder. They're just running for their lives, galloping for their lives at full speed, but the headless horseman is faster. Brom Bones said during one of his accounts with the headless horseman, he was saying at the party that, if you make it across the bridge, the horseman can't get you because he can't cross the bridge. So Ichabod goes for the bridge, and he thinks he's safe when he crosses the bridge. He turns his head back, and bam, he sees the headless horseman. The headless horseman stands. I know, kind of like riding the horse, stands on the not like on the saddle how you would stand on a horseback, and the headless horseman chucks his head at Ichabod, and there's a huge crash between the headless horseman's head with Ichabod's head, and Ichabod goes headlong into the ground, and pretty much the headless horseman goes back goes by in a whirlwind, and yeah, Ichabod is never seen again. As you can imagine, this caused a huge, huge news within Sleepy Hollow. All the people already believe in the supernatural and the headless horseman and things going bump in the night. And now he's a fresh new legend to add to the storybooks, to add to the folklore, to add to the gossip around the campfire. This teacher that was a part of the community for a while that loves Katrina and gets his heart broken, and he encounters the headless horseman, and he disappears without a trace. I mean, they found his books where he was staying. They find his stuff. They burn it. They tried to look for his body. They could never find his body. They find gunpowder. The gunpowder goes back to his master. The saddle was lost. They had to retrieve the saddle. Um, they find Ichabod's hat next to a smashed pumpkin, which leads some to believe that possibly the headless horseman chucked a pumpkin at Ichabod's head. Some people, some ladies in the town, they believe that Ichabod was taken away by the headless horseman. Some people might say maybe he was hit over the head. He was, the pumpkin was, the headless horseman chucked the pumpkin at his head, and that's what killed him. Some people say a traveler later says, a person that says that he knows Ichabod later says that Ichabod's not dead. He went on to become a lawyer, went on to become in politics, became a judge, became all this and that, became very successful. But the people in the town, they don't buy that. They don't believe in that. Um, they think the headless horseman took him away. They think that he died, or he's somewhere that's mysterious or invisible, or um, it's like he's dead, or the headless horseman has him. It's all shrouded in mystery and darkness, and no one knows what happened because they never found a body, they never saw him again. He just left, and that's it. And Brom Bones wins the hand of Katrina. They get married. Brom Bones gets all the wealth of Katrina's family, and the community moves on. He was, Ichabod was a bachelor. Nobody sheds a tear over Ichabod Crane. He wasn't well liked. He was there. He's quickly replaced by another school teacher. His school was pretty much abandoned. And now there's more folklore, more stories about the invisible world that goes upon Ichabod Crane and what happened to him, and he's just added to the mysteries and to the stories and to the theories of the local citizens. Um, and the local citizens, they won't accept anything other than that the headless horseman took Ichabod away. Um, it's and the story pretty much ends there with Katrina marrying Brom Bones Abraham, and Ichabod just disappears into nothingness. Nobody misses him. He was a bachelor. He wasn't well liked, and the people didn't really even appreciate his craft because they thought that that school was unnecessary. These are a bunch of farmers. They raise crops. They know how to do it. They're not sending kids off to become politicians and things like that, or scientists or things like that. It's a very small town that's stuck in the past, and the past is like focused on farming and farmland and small business and community. It's not really focused on upward mobility. Um, in industry and tech and things like that we are focused in today. The Sleepy Hollow, yes, they do send their kids to school, but it's not really, the people there are not focused on the tech and the politics and the upward mobility. They're focused on farming and keeping their community going and tradition, and Ichabod thought he was going to just come into Sleepy Hollow, break tradition, get the prettiest girl, get money, become a part of this situation for his own personal gains and greeds. But that's not what happened. Brown Bones gets the girl. Everybody in the town loved him. He was the town hero that gets the girl, and Ichabod is just pretty much added into the folklore. So Ichabod Crane does become a part of the town, not a part that he wanted to be. He becomes a part of the town folklore and mystery and storytelling and gossip. So he becomes a part of that town, not the rich guy with the pretty girl part of the town. So that's what happens to Ichabod. And the story pretty much ends with speculation about like what happened to Ichabod. Is he really dead? Is he in the spiritual world? What did the headless horseman take him? His heart was broken. So it doesn't end well at all for Ichabod. I mean, from the beginning, from his introduction, you could already see that this character is not going to end up well because the narrator pretty much was against him the way that he was described. Because the narrator was relentless. Like, the narrator was like, yeah, this dude, This guy's like a famine descending upon Earth. I mean, my goodness, when the narrator describes you with that, when the narrator really just lays it into you, doesn't hold anything back, it's like Leo Tolstoy or Russian writers. Sometimes Russian writers, they'll hold nothing back. They'll be like, "This man is unappealing. This man is the ugliest man I've ever seen." Leo Tolstoy, Russian writer the Dostoevsky, if I said that right. When they describe how people look, sometimes they're that ruthless. They're like, yeah, this lady right here, this girl right here, she's just ugly. She is not pleasant to look at. Or like this dude right here, like his face, his face is a messed up puzzle piece. Like only in Russian literature where the authors or the narrators go in really sick and really lay it into the characters. It's the same way that this narrator with in Sleepy Hollow, he really goes and he's like, yeah, Ichabod, he's just a thrown together piece of person. He's not pleasing to the eyeballs. He's a scarecrow that came to life. It's bad. It's really bad. I mean, I felt bad for Ichabod when the narrator was laying into him like this. He didn't deserve all that. So that happened. That definitely happened. And in terms of deeper meaning, in terms of analysis here, there's a lot to unpack. I mean, this town is about tradition. The people are stuck in their traditions. They're not going to leave their traditions. They do not. They hold tradition and values above science and education and teaching and upward mobility. Again, Sleepy Hollow is like stuck in a pocket of time, while the rest of New York is becoming a hub of industry. You think about New York City, you think about business, theater, fashion, money, Wall Street. You don't think about little small towns filled with wilderness and folklore and tales and quiet nights and horseback and farming. You don't think about farming when you think about New York. When you think about New York, you think about Broad Street, you think about plays, you think about fashion, you think about money, you think about Warren Buffett and financial gurus and J.P. Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs. You think about the heavy hitters, the world movers, the money busters. You think about that. Wolf of Wall Street. You think about the tough, no nonsense head eaters of money, of capital, of industry, of no nonsense factory, work hard, break a bone type of businessman. You don't think about Sleepy Hollow. You don't think about small town merriment. No, you don't think about that. So Sleepy Hollow is stuck in a bosom of New York that's pretty much shrouded in mystery, and it's in the past, and it won't leave the past. That's what this short story tells us. Ichabod was a greedy man. He's more of a New Yorker than a Sleepy Hollow person, a Sleepy Hollow townsman or citizen, I guess you can say. He's more of a New Yorker. I mean, Sleepy Hollow people in Sleepy Hollow are New Yorkers also, but they're of a different variety of New Yorkers. They're of the New Yorkers from far away, from back in the past. Ichabod Crane was greedy. He wanted money. He wanted food. He wanted pretty girls. He wanted all the luxuries of the world without having to work hard for it himself. He doesn't come across as a hardworking man. He comes across as a man who sees opportunity and tries his way of getting it, but he just fails and he can't read the words on the wall. He can't read the signs. He can't read the writing on the wall because he's so stuck on seeing the way that he can move forward in the world, move up in the world, but he doesn't see his shortcoming. And when all the signs are saying no, leave it alone, because all the signs are saying, listen, do not go after Katrina. She's not yours. She's not on your level. She's not gonna take you. You're not brown bones. You have to read the signs. You have to read when a girl is in your direction, is at your level, if you can get her, if you can please her. Because when it comes to relationship, it's more than just romance and love and two people being interested in each other. There's a lot that plays into relationship. Families play into relationship. Communities play into relationship. You might not think it matters, but community, family ties, family bonds, all of those things matter when it comes to marriage and relationship. And Ichabod thought that he could just, not worry about the townspeople and what they thought and what they think and about what Katrina thinks. And he could have just walked in, say a few good lines, and be present. And he could have gotten with Katrina, but Katrina did not want him. Katrina rejected him, and everything ended badly. So his greed, his focus, his denial of his weaknesses, his failure to recognize his weaknesses led to his downfall. You know, if he wasn't so obsessed with Katrina, if he wasn't so obsessed with her money and the life that he could have, all the food that he could eat and have, by becoming Katrina's husband, he would have never been at that party that late. Maybe he might have never gone to the party, and maybe he would have never been at night so late at night. He wouldn't be traveling that road so late at night to encounter the headless horseman. He would probably be in at home, um, away from all of that. So his obsession, his greed, caused pretty much push him towards the night journey he went on, which causes death. So little things in life, little things that you want, the things that you covet in life, the things that you're obsessed with in life, they might seem small, they might seem little, but they can lead to your downfall. So the little things in life definitely matters. His complete disregard for tradition. You have to be aware of tradition. Some people think that their smarts and their charm is all that it takes to be successful in this world. But when you walk into a new institution, a new company, a new place, a new town, a new city, a new country, you have to be observant of the traditions, of the ways things are done, of the establishments, of the institutions, of the hierarchies. Because Brom Bones was at the top of the hierarchy. He was the top male in that hierarchy in Sleepy Hollow because everybody in this place saw Brom Bones as their champion, as the great guy, as the tough guy, as the shoulder to shoulder heavyweight of the town. Brom Bones, he was loved by the ladies, he was loved by the widows, he was loved by the men, he was loved by everybody. So Brom Bones was going to get the first pick. The first pick, he was going to pick the best girl out of all the girls because all the girls liked him. He was beloved by everybody. So because he was beloved by everybody, because he was charming, because he was that guy, he 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 had the ability, the prestige, the popularity, and the name to go after any girl that he wants. Um, and so, because of that, every other man in the town had the common sense to back away from Katrina, except for Ichabod, who was the outsider that was not smart. And some people might say, or there's enough evidence to even draw within this short story to say that, maybe it was Brom Bones who dressed up as the headless horseman and tried and killed Ichabod. So this could also be a murder mystery, but the story doesn't go that far. That far. It could be anything. It could be Brom Bones in a costume because the short story tells us that Brom Bones, he laughs whenever somebody mentions the smashed pumpkin that they found with Ichabod's hat. It could have been Brom Bones who killed Ichabod and buried his body somewhere. He's well capable of doing something like that. He has his boys. He's strong. He's tough. He knows how to ride a horse, just like the headless horseman. He's a great horseman. He's tough. He's a man of Herculean physique. So there's enough evidence to say that maybe Brom Bones is the one who killed Ichabod and hid the body. I mean, there's a lot of mysteries in Sleepy Hollow. That could be the case. So that's something that's a case that could be made. Or we could listen to the old folks in the tradition of the town that it's the spiritual demon thing of the headless horseman that took Ichabod. That's also another way we can look at this. Um, Or also maybe Ichabod was very scared by seeing the headless horseman, and he just left town without any telling of what happened. But I highly, I don't believe that, because Ichabod loves his stuff, and I don't know why he would abandon his books and his stuff and leave the town just like that. Maybe, I mean, after being afraid, maybe he could just run out of, like, after seeing the headless horseman, he could have just run out of town. That's possible. But there's not substantial evidence for me to just take that how it is. So there's a lot of things that you can take from this short story in terms of what truly happened to Ichabod. He could have been murdered. He could have been taken by a headless demon, or he could have run away from town. And there's some evidence to prove that maybe he did run away from town, because there's a traveler that says that he's seen Ichabod, and how successful he's become. But not no one in Sleepy Hollow believes that take of what happened. So there's a lot to consider here. In terms of, again, in deeper meaning of analyzing this, this has to say a lot about traditions. It has to say a lot about greed, of Ichabod, and you know, also Katrina. There's a lot to say about her and her seeking of attention. She loved attention, and maybe being with Brom Bones gives her more, um, more eyes on her, more popularity on her. It's these two well-known characters within this work, Brom Bones and Katrina. It's a power couple for them getting hitched and getting married. So there's a lot to take in, a lot to consider here. Um, so the traditions, the greed, the mystery of what happened to Ichabod, that all has to be taken into account. And also knowing that this is Sleepy Hollow, a true place that existed within New York. Um, you know, it, do things go bump in the night there in Sleepy Hollow? Maybe so. So this leaves us a lot to consider about the way that people behave. Um, knowing your traditions, knowing your scene, knowing your strengths and weaknesses. What this says about these characters. These characters all have their own flaws. Katrina has her flaw of seeking attention. Brom Bones, well, his flaw, his arrogance, just, well, he wins. I mean, his arrogance is cheered on upon the townsfolk. They see him as their champion. Really, it's really sad for Ichabod, because this is a man who really didn't see his shortcomings, who really didn't see what he failed at, and he tried to pursue a woman that was not in his league. He tried to do things that he had no power to do, and it ended in his demise. So know your strengths, know your weaknesses. Don't let them destroy you. Okay? Because if you don't know your weaknesses and you just try to push forward, you might end up headless. So yeah, that's my take on the Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Please remember to leave a like, subscribe, and or comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video.